Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. This is another episode about life in China, and today we have a story that you don't hear very often. Raquel comes from a very unique background. She was born in Trinidad and Tobago, grew up between there and Brazil, and later decided to move to China to look for new teaching opportunities. She arrived with 2 kids, a 5-year-old son and a 16-year-old daughter. And it was here in Nanjing that she met Jacob, a local guy from Gansu province who came to study in the city and chose to stay and build his career here. They got married, welcomed a new baby together, and now they're raising a beautiful blended family right here in Nanjing. Couples like this are still quite rare in China. It's much more common to see foreign men with Chinese women, not the other way around. So today we're looking at a relationship that breaks the usual pattern. Let's hear their story. How did you two meet?
So when I arrived in China, we used to live in another community, and we always saw each other in the elevator. And then he asked for my WeChat, and then we started talking and developed a friendship, and that's how we met.
就像他说的，我跟他经常在电梯碰到。然后我英语不是很好嘛，所以我想就是多学一点这个口语，流畅的表达一些，可能将来对工作有一些好处吧和帮助。后来就是我问了他的微信嘛，然后后来就自然而然的，他也比较对中国文化感兴趣，就自然而然的认识了，然后后边就自然而然的发生了。
How big is the language barrier, and do misunderstandings ever turn into arguments or funny moments?
I think language barrier is the most conflict area that we have, because I don't speak Chinese very well, and his English is getting better and better, but he didn't speak English when we first met. So we basically used WeChat translation to communicate, and that's how we first started. And then eventually he started to speak, and nowadays we speak in English at home. But there are some details of the language, the way you express yourself, that can cause conflicts, and we can misunderstand each other. So we always have to, when we are talking, we have agreed that we always have to keep in mind, is this really what you're saying? Like sometimes we ask each other, is this what you're saying? Or can you say this in another way, to make sure it's the right thing and we understand each other well.
这个语言障碍，我刚开始这个英语就可能就是对于口语不太好。就是平常沟通的话，说英语就可能和母语人士沟通，我基本上就可以说0吧。然后后边认识他，我也慢慢的这个口语沟通越来越好了。有时候也有一些这个有意思的事儿，就是可能一些语言上的一些，就是他发音中文的英语的发音，我们学的那个英文的发音可能不是很标准，然后他就听到另一个词，就有一些搞笑的事发生啊，这些，但是最终我们会明白对方的意思，因为我们总是会确认是不是这个意思。
I don't know what he said, but I remember something that I remember when we first started dating and going out, he didn't like to show in public that we couldn't communicate very well. So he didn't like to see you like using the translator in public. It was like kind of a frustration and I think it still is like something we always talk about. We need to improve. He says I need to improve my English, so have more classes, study together more, because it's something we need to improve. And when we have something very important to discuss, it has to be through text, because there is the language barrier.
I really don't see. There are so many beautiful places in Brazil. I like the
Imagine that Jacob isn't here for a couple of weeks. Would you, with newborn Alana and Lucas, be able to handle yourselves here if we are talking about hospitals, baby checkups, and shopping?
I would say I'm totally dependent on him voluntarily. It's like, I know I could deal with things, but it's just so much easier for me to rely on him. So I just let him do everything for us. In Brazil, I was totally the doer. I did everything, decided everything. And here in China, it kind of feels comfortable for me now just to rely on him to do things. And I have the excuse that I can't speak Chinese and I don't understand the language. And also I don't understand the systems of how some things work. But this also causes some frustration sometimes because I sometimes when we go to the doctor, take the baby to the doctor, or even the other kids, I feel kind of stupid, like I'm a little kid running around and just, then he will translate and tell me what's going on, but then I need him for that.
他平常在日常生活中就是来中国，他不是很了解整个社会的运行规则啊，比如去医院啊这种，他们是针对于挂号到就诊，然后到取药付款的所有系列啊，我一直在帮助他，就是了解这整个怎么运行的，是应该怎么做，但也有一些搞笑的事情，比如我想告诉他一些这个医生的医嘱啊，但是后来他可能听到了某个他之前学过的中文单词，他永远在问这个中文单词是什么意思，这就很有意思。
And he always adjusts some things to accommodate me too. For example, when the baby was born, some things that traditionally Chinese people do, like not be in the delivery room, he was in the delivery room for me. So there are a lot of things that he was good. He tries hard to do his best for us, for the family.
If you think that my videos resonate with you, please hit that like button and follow for more. Share as well, and check my other videos on my channel. They were made with a lot of love and effort. Which cultural habits create friction or maybe surprise you in daily life?
There's a long list. I'll tell you some of them. For me, one of the first things is that Brazilian people are very warm and they touch a lot and they hug a lot and they're very expressive. And Chinese people in general, they're not, especially in a romantic relationship, like holding hands and things like that. So in the beginning, it was a little difficult for me to accept some things, like not walking in the street, not holding hands. It's something simple, but in Brazil, if you go out, all the couples are holding hands. And here in China, almost nobody does that. Well, I think I see more people do that nowadays. So I always show him, look, they're holding hands. Why can't we hold hands too? But then eventually I just got used to it and understood other ways of expression of love. So, and I think nowadays he's more open to, like if I touch him in public, he won't do this. He will accept it. So that I think there's change in both sides. One other thing that's for me, it's food. He likes to cook very much and he loves Chinese food very, very much, and spicy food. And it's different from the kind of food that I'm used to. Alana is used to. Lucas now is used to all kinds of food. He's younger, so it's easier to adjust. So for example, when we get together to eat, we all have different things on our plates. And cooking on the weekend together was something I always did in Brazil with my family. So that's something different too. But we are together, we just have different food on our plates.
就像我们出去逛街啊什么的这种，在大街上亲吻这种，我比较传统，因为就是我的家教就比较属于那种保守一点的人，可能现在的年轻人喜欢这样做吧，我也 北方那边就比较传统一点。现在南方的话，对于中国来说，南方的人比较更加开放。就是总的来说，我是比较一个保守一点的人，我有点害羞，就稍微有这样。然后，其他的话，我感觉就是生活中虽然有很多不同的地方嘛，但是我们都在彼此熟悉，了解对方，然后，慢慢的我们也知道对方喜欢有哪些爱好啊，或者是其他的一些想做什么，都了解了对方。慢慢的我们也没有这种摩擦，就是前期可能会有点困难。
People they buy this.
Yes.
That's more. This for this.
你的父母怎么看你有国外的妻子？
我的父母起先有点担心，因为两国文化的不同嘛，有很多地方需要就是磨合的地方，也有文化属性的不同啊，或者是一些其他可能一些宗教的信仰，关于习惯方面的。但是很好，我们的心意在一起，有着共同的目标和方向，所以我们更容易的在一起，接受这些可能文化上的一些差异，或者是其他一些地方的不同吧。我认为就是当两个人比较共同努力的话，这种困难就是不是很大的困难，因为你们在慢慢的学习，慢慢的熟悉。
What plans do you have for the future? Do you plan to stay in China or maybe move to Brazil or Trinidad and Tobago or anywhere else?
Our plan is to settle down in China. We know that there's a lot of things to consider, even visa-wise, for me to stay in China. But at the moment, we are planning on staying. We're preparing everything to stay, like live here. This is currently our home, and we are planning like our future goals is to settle down here.
因为我没有去过其他国家嘛，如果说考虑去其他国家的话，我暂时没有特别强烈的想法。因为我只了解中国嘛，可能去其他国家我也不太了解其他国家的情况。可能会度假的话，去度假或者是旅游的话，短期的一个旅行的话，我感觉是一个不错的建议，不错的想法。可能未来我们会有规划去巴西或者说墨西哥这种国家，是一个短途的旅行。
One of the reasons that I came to China was to thinking of Lucas and Elena, they would have a better chance of education here in China. And they would also be in a position where they could choose more, like where to go to college. And they'll have other opportunities. So that's one reason that I see China as a long-term stay.
I hope you enjoyed the story of Jacob, a Chinese citizen from Gansu, and Raquel from South America. It was really interesting to hear how Raquel found support in her husband, especially with daily tasks like hospital visits and baby checkups, things that can be quite challenging in China if you're going through the public hospital system without a VIP route or someone guiding you through all the paperwork. What stood out to me the most was their determination and the way they built their relationship from the ground up, navigating misunderstandings, learning each other's cultures, and even setting communication rules like sending the most important messages through text to avoid confusion. Honestly, I think that's a brilliant way to make sure nothing gets lost in translation. If you enjoy stories like this, make sure to follow, like, and stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.